Tonight, welcome to News Hour. Coming up, ambassadors from 4 European countries, Middle East and Asia assured President Omar of their support to Sierra Leone's post-Ebola recovery. As the United States Treasury Department names some Lebanese operating in Sierra Leone as Hezbollah financiers, the president of the Lebanese community, Sierra Leone, says Hezbollah is not a terrorist group. And Legal Aid Board and the Ministry of Lands to jointly address problems relating to land acquisition in Freetown. These stories and more, plus business and sports news are lined up in this edition of News Hour with me, Mariama Thompson. Don't go away. Welcome back, and first in the news tonight, the United States Treasury Department has issued sanctions against Hezbollah financial networks in the Gambia, Lebanon, Sierra Leone, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Angola, and the British Virgin Islands. The U.S. Department of Treasury accused Ali Tajuddin and Hussein Tajuddin for providing support to Hezbollah. Some of those names have businesses in Sierra Leone. As a developing story, Daphne Zainab Kamara takes a look at the issue and visited the office of the president of the Lebanese community in Sierra Leone, Sameh Hassanieh, and he explained what he made of that list.
Well, I've read it. There are certain people on that list that I know their names. Okay? I don't have a clue about the activities with Hezbollah. The gentleman whom they call his name Haj Ali Ibrahim is married to a Sierra Leonean lady. He has lived here all his life. He has a plastic business at Sopit. When say plastic buckets, this and that and so on. You understand?
So what do you make of the other people, especially those, that the one that was mentioned that has a business, Tajco Limited?
Tajco, they used to have a company here. But now Tajco no longer exists. You can find out nobody's operating on a Tajco anymore. What they did, what happened, I don't know. But I know that Tajco, they're not operating anymore.
Do you think that maybe they have changed their names? Because report states that most of the Lebanese, because they don't have a good record, when they come into a foreign country, they change their names so that people don't identify them.
No, I have not inquired about that, but I know that Tajco.
Don't you think this has...
Fawaz is in Nigeria. He's not here. We don't know Fawaz here. He's in Nigeria. Yes.
Okay. So don't you think this has a tendency to create distrust between the Lebanese community and the Sierra Leonean people?
I don't think so.
Why?
I don't think so, because as far as we are concerned, we are monitoring the situation here. We are monitoring the situation here. We know who is coming here. We find out about him, what he's doing. Like this guy that I called you just now. He's married to a Sierra Leone, as I told you. He has a small business at Sopit, called Equa Street. Equa Street, no Equa Street. Mariama Street. Okay? He's been here most of his life. Alright? The others, I don't know them. I don't know them. If you can call the names for me to refresh my memory, I can answer one by one if you want.
So do you have a record of all Lebanese people in Sierra Leone?
Of course we have.
So how do you, like you stated
and we have
earlier,
very good relationship with the American Embassy as well.
and you said you monitor the activities.
Yes,
what if they tell you they're doing this and on the side they're doing other activities? Do you have a way of knowing what they're doing?
We have our own intelligence services here. We are the Lebanese community. And we will not allow anybody to jeopardize the relationship between the Lebanese community and the Sierra Leonean community. No, other people. We are watching the situation very closely. They tend to say Lebanese here, some of them are Hezbollah, because they are from the south of Lebanon. Okay? They are from the south of Lebanon, and whenever Israel attacks south of Lebanon, the people are killed, houses destroyed. But the people that are here, They've been here, the fathers, their grandfathers, they've been here before. It's a continuation. Okay, no new ones have come here to do business. As I told you, this chap, Haj Ali Ibrahim, he's been here all his life.
Okay. So tell us, what do you know about Hezbollah?
Hezbollah, I mean, if you study the Lebanese situation in Lebanon, Hezbollah is part of the Lebanese government. They have members of parliament, they have ministers in the government of Lebanon, and at the same time, there are many, many embassies who have offices in Lebanon.
So are they a legal part of Lebanon?
They are part and parcel of the Lebanese government.
So why is...
When the cabinet of Lebanon meets, you have Hezbollah ministers sitting with the Prime Minister of Lebanon, deliberating on matters pertaining to Lebanon. They are part and parcel of the Lebanese government. Hezbollah, you cannot hear anything about Hezbollah terrorizing people in Europe. You cannot hear about anything about Hezbollah.
So you're confirming to us that Hezbollah is not a terrorist?
If anybody has heard that Hezbollah has done anything, there are problems with Israel. You understand? Because Israel occupied some of our lands. Okay? And there are problems with Israel. But I want anybody to point out to me, and I'll swallow my words, that Hezbollah has done any terrorist activities except between Lebanon and they're not, they say it's not terrorism. They are fighting for the freedom of our properties, our land, which Israel occupied. But I challenge anybody to point out to me that Hezbollah has done any terrorist act outside of Israel and Lebanon. Then you can call them terrorists.
So if they are a legal group in Lebanon, why has America sanctioned these particular names?
Well, I don't know. I was born here. I've lived here all my life. I went to school in England. I hardly go to Lebanon. I went to Lebanon when the delegation went to Lebanon from Sierra Leone. I was with the delegation. I went there to further enhance the relationship between Sierra Leone and Lebanon. And my thanks and appreciations to His Excellency the President, the Vice President, and the Minister of External Affairs and Minister of Information, and everybody who went along with the delegation. Because this is the first time we're trying to promote brotherly relationship between Lebanon and Sierra Leone. And I'm very happy that the delegation went. And we are expecting delegations to come from Lebanon to here. We went there on the basis to invite Lebanese business people, not this Bobo Demon get there. Lebanese business people to come and invest in this country so that employment will be created and so on. We are watching the situation. It's our duty to watch the situation here. We don't want anything to happen in Sierra Leone. We are watching the situation. Myself, I'm not a Muslim, Shia Muslim, I'm a Druze. I'm head of the Lebanese community. I've been head of the community for 17 years. You understand? And my duty is to make sure that the relationship between Sierra Leoneans and Lebanese in this country goes from strength to strength. That's my duty. That's my duty. I love this country. This is my country. I've not lived in Lebanon for 3 years. Gone from when I was born till now. I've not lived 3 years in Lebanon. Okay? I came here, I went to school in England, and I came back. I've been here since 1961. I'm 72 years old. I'm not going to allow anybody to spoil the relationship between the Lebanese people and the Sierra Leone community.
He is the president of the Lebanese community in Sierra Leone, Sami Asenier, talking there to Daphne Zonat-Kumar. Legal Aid Board and the Ministry of Lands, Country Planning and the Environment is to jointly address problems relating to land acquisition in Freetown. This decision was reached at a meeting with the Minister of Lands, Country Planning and the Environment, Diana Konomani. The Executive Director, Legal Aid Board, Claire Kelton-Hansels, informed the Minister that the board is dealing with over 500 cases related to land acquisition and ownership. This, she says, requires partnership between the Legal Aid Board and the Ministry to look into problems relating to land acquisition to reduce the burden on the courts. She proposed a consultative meeting which will include the offices of the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice, Chief Justice, and the Sierra Leone Bar Association. The meeting will look into issues of land grabbing, ownership, claims, and verification to be determined by the Ministry and the court. The Minister of Lands, Diana Konomani, thanked the Legal Aid Executive Director for the initiative, pointing out that she is in the process of cleaning up the ministry. She said some officials of the Lands Ministry were in the habit of giving fake documents to people and that her leadership will not condone such practices by few desperate people in the system. The Surveys Department, she said, is considered as the most corrupt department in her ministry. The Minister of Land says their offices are open to the public to address complaints. The Kids Advocacy Network has presented awards to the Minister of State 2, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Honorable Aissata Kabia. The awards are in recognition of her efforts and contributions to the children's development and the Ebola fight in the country. Hawanatu Kante reports.
The awards were presented to the Minister of State 2 by a cross-section of the Kids Advocacy Network, led by the Executive Director, Edmond Fauna. The network was set up to advocate for peace, non-violence, and issues affecting young people. Minister of State 2, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Honorable Aissata Kabia, thanked Kids Advocacy Network for the thought, saying the network was the first children organization to award her for her contributions to children's development. She said Ebola was the most difficult time for them as it stopped the development drive of the country.
This is my first award from the children of Sierra Leone, so I'm very proud of that. And to be recognized for something you would do on a daily basis for absolutely nothing is amazing. This is the kind of work I thoroughly enjoy, and I know the dividends of the work we do today, has far-reaching effects for the future of our nation. So it's the most important work we must and should continue to do.
Executive Director, Kids Advocacy Network, Edmund Fauna, said the awards were done by voting. He added that their organization organized the award to recognize institutions and individuals who have contributed to children's welfare and development. I wanted to continue reporting for SLBC TV News.
Investigation has been mounted by stakeholders in the maritime sector into the MV Mahera ferry saga while transporting passengers from Lungi Tegrin to Kisi Terminal. Abubakar Bangura went to the Kisi ferry terminal to look into the issue.
At the Kisi ferry terminal, here is the place where passengers board ferries from Freetown to Lungi. But yesterday, there was distress call on board MV Mahera, one of the private ferries here, that something had happened with the ferry. So we are here today to investigate on the matter. But according to reports we are getting, that people from the Sierra Leone Ports Authority, Sierra Leone Maritime Administration, and representatives from the marine sector are investigating what happened on board MV Mahera.
The Mahera ferry is one of the private vessels operating within the River Roquel, ferrying passengers, goods and services to and from Kisi Terminal to Tagrin Lungi. On Wednesday, 18th May at around 9 p.m., with over 100 passengers on board, the vessel MV Mahera went aground whilst maneuvering to the Kisi Terminal in the east end of Freetown. Within the course of the incident, distress calls were made by the passengers and crew members. There were fear and pandemonium waiting for a rescue operation. Passengers on board waited for 6 hours at around 3:30 this morning before they were rescued. The Sierra Leone Maritime Administration and the Sierra Leone Ports Authority provided a search and rescue mission that night of experienced officials who ferried all passengers to the landing site for safety, but the vehicles on board were removed later. General Manager MV Mahera and Great Crisis Ferries, Alusain Darami, told SLBC that there was heavy wind at sea that triggered the vessel to be drifted to the sandbank.
Actually, yesterday after the ferry done load by 9 o'clock p.m. So, but when they ready for left, heavy wind been get for blow. So, but then try for maneuver. The captain tried for maneuver. You know, it go astern, we go astern, but very close to the dolphin, we get sandbank towards the dolphin. So the breeze been so heavy, it sweep the ferry go na the sandbank. By then the water bin they go down, that is water bin they dry. So it not be easy for the captain. It forced the engines, they raise them for make you go pull them from there, but you not be able because the water bin they go down.
This is not the first time such an incident is occurring on the high seas. Due to bad weather, heavy tide or poor visibility, concerns have been raised by all and sundry over the frequent breakdown of ferries with passengers on board and most times drifted to other destinations. Executive Director, Sierra Leone Maritime Administration, Alhaji Wuro Jallo, said all passengers were evacuated. He said when the ferry was at ground, it caused no threat to the passengers and members on board. An investigation into the cause of the incident has been instituted.
Every day, our eyes on those ferries. We have our regulators, our inspectors. On a daily basis, they are looking at these ferries. Because once they are at sea, we always want to make sure that they arrive safe and then they do the other way. Because we actually have to cater for our people. You know, there are a lot of traffic, you know, in that area. So basically, that is what we are trying to look at and make sure that we have the minimum standards that is required of these ferries to go. Well, first of all, we want to know what happened. We have been in this for a very long time. Of course, this is not the first occurrence. We have got a lot of incidences when ferries go it happens actually, but sometimes we want to know whether in fact it happens as an act of God or it's an error part of the navigator. Because say for example, if like yesterday during that time, it was bad weather. You know, your maneuverability is giving you problems. You don't have to come out. You have to stay at the terminal. I cannot move very at this time because of bad weather. If I go out now, there's all probability that I will sit on the sand.
But the captain did not.
Yeah, of course. Well, by training, the captain should know that he should not have even taken the ferry out because of bad weather. That's always the training we give to our people, not just even these guys working on board the ferries. Even these local boys, these pampan boys, is what we tell them. Once you see bad weather, don't go out because you never will tell what will happen when you are at sea.
Even though the ferries are faged, maintenance have been carried on a quarterly basis, keeping the vessels up and running in good conditions. Because of the frequent problems with the ferries, most passengers prefer traveling on wooden boats with life jackets. According to reports, all the ferries plying the seas are old. Passengers are calling on the government and the private sector to make available brand new ferries replacing the old ones to prevent sea disasters. According to the Sierra Leone Maritime Administration, the ferry is presently slammed at the Lungetagrin terminal, undergoing serious check-ins to see whether the vessel is worthy to ply the high seas again. SLBC News, Abubakar Bangura, Freetown.
Meanwhile, in an effort to prevent sea accidents, the Sierra Leone Maritime Administration has trained over 100 coastguards on sea safety. The training took place at Kasiri, Bailo, and Yeliboya in the Putlako district. This training is aimed at ensuring zero sea accidents now that the rains have started. Darren Koloko reports.
The coxswains have been trained on the principles of sea safety, which can help prevent sea accidents that are common during the rainy seasons. The Public Relations Officer of the Maritime Administration, Kadiatu Kamara, says that Maritime Administration was set up to monitor all ships and coxswains plying the sea. She adds that the two-day training is being set up to impact knowledge and skills to coxswains as they form one of the fastest means of transportation. She said that as the country approaches the rainy season, the training is expected to prevent sea accidents by educating them about the preventive measures to avoid sea accidents. She said that they are determined and committed to ensure passengers' safety, which is why the training is being set up to help them practice the sea safety measures at all times. She urges them to comply with the maritime rules and regulations, calling on them to always have sharp knife, rope and first aid kits in their boats at all times. According to the Maritime Inland Water Wing Supervisor Abubakar Kanu and the Maritime Safety Inspector Alfred Kefasin, the training is being done countrywide as they realize the challenges faced by coxswains to prevent sea accidents. They call on them to be familiarized with the rules and responsibilities in plying the sea. They spoke of the essence for all coxswains to ply the sea consciously in order to save the lives of passengers and properties. They call on all coxswains to always wear the life jacket before plying the sea. The president of the Sierra Leone Boat Owners Association, Paramount Chief Mohammed Lion, commended the Maritime Administration for such training, which will help the coxswains better understand the do's and don'ts of sea safety measures. He encourages the participants to implement what they have learned to prevent sea safety. The training is coming at a time when one of the ferries got a serious problem which should have caused sea accidents.
The government, through the Ministry of Information and Communications, has engaged stakeholders to begin the process to repeal the 1965 criminal libel law. The Information Minister, Mohammed Bangura, and his deputy championed the discussions held at the Ministry of Information. Mariama reports.
Criminal Act provides that a person who publishes defamatory material is guilty of libel and on conviction is punishable by a fine or imprisonment not exceeding 2 years. The Public Order Act does not allow truth as a defense unless a defendant can prove that the publication was a matter of public interest, in which case the public prosecutor may, his or her discretion, allow truth as a defense. It is against this background that the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists and other stakeholders within the media profession have been lobbying government to see the need to repeal this act, and this meeting is among many fora to discuss with government on ways of repealing the seditious libel law. Head of Department Mass Communications, Rabi Kelej, Tonia Musa, said he is in support of the idea that a criminal libel law be repealed, and that they as academic institutions recommended that it should be replaced. Representing the Law Reform Commission, Idris Akagbo said his commission would thoroughly study the law and look into its implication while supporting the head of mass communication to research to be conducted on the law. Deputy Minister of Information and Communications, Cornelius Devo, called on the team to present a position paper to government on the criminal libel law, which will help greatly in the repeal process with focus on international best practice. Minister of Information and Communications, Mohammed Bangura, said President Nkrumah is committed to repealing the Public Order Act. Mr. Bangura said as minister is aware that the law is outdated, but they should find a viable alternative to replace it. The president
is something that we need to look at. That was the reason why he made a public policy statement. As ministers, we are also of the firmest belief that this is an outdated law and it needs to be revamped. The Law Reform Commission, they are the experts. But this morning we are here to put our thoughts together, to discuss and make recommendations.
The president of the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists, Kelvin Lewis, appealed to the government to quickly repeal this act that criminalizes the media.
People are afraid to put their money into this industry because they can lose it just like that. And they cannot only lose their investment, but they can be taken to jail for that. As we saw in the case of the Atlantic, as we saw in the case of John Love Printing. I mean, these are people who had no business with the media, only to print the newspapers. And yet they were taken to court, they were taken to jail, and they suffered. And so a lot of business people are afraid And this makes it very difficult for the media to grow as an economic entity. And if the media does not grow, then media owners will not be able to pay their journalists enough money. And so, in the end, these journalists will go around doing the wrong things.
Another development at the weekly press conference of the Minister of Information and Communications, the Minister of Energy, Ambassador Henry Macaulay, informed the media about the recent power outages in the city. Reason for the power outages said is because the machines were not repaired during the Ebola outbreak and the hydro plants were also not repaired. The Minister of Water Resources, Momodu Maligi, told journalists that houses built along the water catchment areas will soon be demolished as the act will soon be passed into law. Areas highlighted are Mile 13, Babaduri, Congo Dam, Frabe College, among others.
Well, that report filed in by Mariama Kanu was read in our studios by Salmata Jallo. The Parliamentary Oversight Committee on Works, Housing and Infrastructure has commended a Sierra Leone-based construction company, Pavifon, for working on a 14.7 kilometers township road in Kabbalah for quality work done. Mahawa Aliyu has that story.
Today, by the 7th day of the road inspection nationwide, within Kabbalah, we look at the works of the new contractor where they give the second phase of the Kabbalah Township Road. This is a contractor where not receive any down payment, it not receive a single penny yet for this contract. But you don't pre-finance these projects. They don't begin to some wonderful job. You don't come out from the street and bringing this. So they showcase this because they look long than the other street themselves. So you don't do a whole lot out of money.
This indigenous company, which is presently making weight in road construction industry, as evidenced in the Kabbalah Township, has been solidly commended by the Committee on Works, Housing and Infrastructure that's comprised of parliamentarians from both the ruling All People's Congress and the main opposition Sierra Leone People's Party for the quality and standard work compared to most foreign companies. Following the committee's stopover at Kabbalah during its 10 days extensive road inspection in the provinces, members of the committee expressed satisfaction and fulfillment over the standard of work done, and more particularly for the efficient, well-organized and speedy manner at which the entire Kabbalah Township project is being implemented amidst huge challenges facing the company. Apparently, when the team took a general inspection on the entire operations of the company, they observed that it is fully capacitated in terms of machinery and workforce. And moreover, they were also amazed to see thorough construction work ongoing simultaneously in all rows embedded in the entire project. Hence, the chairman in his brief statement applauded the company for having done a marvelous job with quality and standard drainage system and standard road construction in Kabbalah within the shortest possible time. Honorable Kombo Kamara, who was very much delighted with the implementation of the project at the moment, entreated the contractor of Pavifort, Ali Mubari, to continue in that direction to ensure that the time frame slated out for its completion is met.
It's difficult right now because right now, as we talk, so asphalt this week, they're on the way they come. Okay. By next week, if we can Kabbalah, we will see asphalt plant. Okay. By next week, we will see a concrete plant. Okay. A lot of things will come in way even for finish the job. Okay. You understand? If we get time again, we will go see quarry, giant quarry. You get two giant quarry, then just like 10 miles, 5 miles from here, where they operate right now in a high capacity. So we don't cover really all the sectors. Then really we for finish the job. So asphalt is near next week. We get a concrete plant here next week. We get a quarry right now. Two big giant quarry ready right now. When I get time, when I can go look at in the next week. The crushers, yes, installed. They right now as we speak.
He, however, expressed thanks and appreciation to the contractor for demonstrating high level of patriotism, reliability, and steadfastness in the implementation of the Kabbalah Township project amidst the numerous challenges and limited resources. Consequently, members of the committee commended President Koroma for empowering indigenous companies to showcase their expertise in the construction industry and compete with foreign companies, as it will certainly give them the opportunity to compete at international level, which in turn will benefit the country as a whole. They further described the bold step taken by the government to empower indigenous companies, coupled with the fabulous work done by Pavivot and Gentle Group, a step in the right direction in trading local companies worldwide. They also assured Pavivot of government's continued support in the industry. The committee members also expressed great concern over the manner at which some of these projects are being implemented by foreign companies in the provinces, as wide range of issues which are not limited to poor drainage system, substandard drainage, culvert, and the slow pace at which these projects are being executed were of major concerns to the committee members. The Committee on Works, Housing and Infrastructure is mandated by the 1991 Constitution of Sierra Leone to undertake oversight functions on all related activities nationwide to access the quality work done and further ensure that monies meant for these projects are judiciously used. SLBC News, Mahawa Aliyu, Freetown.
Well, let's now take a pause in the menu stories and join Hawanatu Conte for the business update.
Hello and welcome to the business update. With me, Hawanatu Conte. We begin with the foreign exchange rates. The US dollar buys at 6,037 leons and sells at 6,159 leons. The British pound sterling buys at 8,754 leons and sells at 8,935 leons. And the euro buys at 6,840 leons and sells at 6,979 leons. Courtesy of the United Bank for Africa, UBA. Sierra Leone has been ranked 4th in West Africa, ahead of Nigeria, Senegal, Guinea, and Liberia to do business. Lucien Ganda tells us more.
According to the 2016 World Bank Doing Business report, the 13th in a series of annual reports, it measures the regulations that enhance business activity and those that constrain it. The report further states that Doing Business report also measures regulations affecting 11 areas of life of a business. 10 of these areas, according to the World Bank report, are included in this year's ranking. Starting a business, dealing with construction permits, getting electricity, registering property, getting credits, protecting minority investors, paying taxes, and trading across borders. The World Bank Doing Business report adds that it is easier to start a business in Sierra Leone with a global rank of 88 than in all countries in West Africa except Liberia and Senegal, of which rank of 37 and 85 respectively. In protecting minority investors, Sierra Leone is also the 3rd best, ranking 88 behind Liberia. And while the report shows that in enforcing contracts, Sierra Leone outperformed Ghana by 11 points, Cote d'Ivoire by 15 points, Guinea by 126 points, Liberia by 78 points, and Nigeria by 79 points. In paying taxes, Sierra Leone also compares relatively better than Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea, Liberia, Nigeria, and Senegal.
Commercial manager, Sierra Leone Bottling Company, Aku Ama, has told bike winners in the Coca-Cola Manpata promotion to make safety their priority. He made the statement at the grand draw of the Coca-Cola Manpata promotion. Umubaka was there and filing his reports.
The promotion, which started 3 months ago, gave an opportunity to customers to win 23 bikes, 480 radio sets, 196 mobile phones, and 870 headphones. Ali Amour is the commercial manager, Sierra Leone Bottling Company. He had this to say to the winners.
Once you're a faithful consumer, it's always very good for the brand owners to have an appreciation. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for trusting us. And please, for the people who are going to ride the bike, safety, safety, safety is very, very important. And for the people who are going to be using the bike, it has a logo, it has a brand. You see, this brand, it talks about us. It's not, if the rider is not adhering to the traffic rules, the first thing people are going to read is the brand. But above all that, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for trusting us as a brand. We really appreciate and we value so much as our consumer.
The winners express appreciation to the company for the promotion.
Well, I'm so excited. I'm just very happy because I never expected. So how many bottles did you buy? How was it? Well, I bought concept about bottles actually. I can't remember. I know I bought so many bottles. I used to drink a bottle every day. And I remember when I eventually found the key. When I eventually found the key, I was so excited. I jumped all over the place because it was very difficult for me to find.
Did you have any hope that this promotion will bring about?
Yes, I did.
So how old are you?
I'm 19. Very bad. No, I'm
how do you feel?
I'm glad in first because of Cold Storage being one of the biggest companies over many years ago.
So are you there?
I did 22 Jamboya States.
How much points do you buy when you win this?
Actually, well, first of all, Coke are my favorite drinks. I used for drink Coke while I work after any 2 or 3 hours of drink Coke. But initially, this winning, I'm a small sister named Kajatu, and I can give me this key. I sleep Sunday morning, say, but I don't key, I don't want to key.
No, that was not your sister and I win the bike, not so you win the bike.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know saying I've got the rule. People then they bypass me. People then they buy more than what's in the bill. Because we sell the seller. But when God says, I will win. I know saying I make a will. It's God everything. People always say
to business updates. I'm Mariama to Conte. Keep watching.
And from the business desk, we now join Francis Barnett for what's happening in the sporting world. Hello, it's Sports Update on news coming up in sports. The Central One Football Association has entered into the last 16 knockout stage of the Inter-Community League. Over 30 communities participated in the group stages. Mountain City, one of the controversial teams in this competition, yesterday defeated Congo Cross Community by 1-0 in a thrilling encounter at the parade grounds in Central Freetown. Our cameraman Joseph Cabo was around and he captured the event.
With sound coming up on the referees, Amanki was looking to get a very fast back pass down with Congo Cross now trying to win back possession quickly. Rami Mani 5 receiving the ball, playing the ball.
It's one of the foremost players of the FC Johansi. When the team was established, this is Soldier. He takes it in, don't deliver from Soldier. This is Soldier. It takes it in. Don't deliver from Soldier.
Well, Mountain City, together with other communities, are now into the 16th stage of the competition. From that, we now go to the international scene and bring you some international sports stories that are making the headlines. Barcelona fans will now be allowed to bring their pro-Catalan independence flag to Sunday's Copa del Rey final with Seville. Supporters had planned to have Scotland flag at the Vincent Calderon after the government's representative in Madrid decided not to allow Estadela flags for operational and security reasons. And finally, for sport in athletics, Kenya's government has agreed a roadmap that increases the likelihood of the country's athletes competing at the Olympic Games in the Rio Games this summer. The World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, declared Kenya in non-compliance on 12th May after it missed 2 deadlines to show it is tackling cheating in sport. Well, that's all we can provide for you in this edition of Sports Updates. I am Francis Bannett. And with sports, news hour comes to a close. But before we go, quick look at the top stories that made the news tonight. Ambassadors from 4 European countries, Middle East and Asia, have assured President Goma of their support to Sierra Leone's post-Ebola recovery. As the United States Treasury Department names some Lebanese operating in Sierra Leone as Hezbollah financiers, the president of the Lebanese community in Sierra Leone said Hezbollah is not a terrorist group. And Legal Aid Board and the Ministry of Lands to jointly address problems relating to land acquisition in Freetown. And that's all in this edition of News Hour broadcast live on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. On behalf of my news editor and the rest of the team tonight, I'm Alice Mariama Thompson, wishing you a perfect night rest. Thanks for your time. Keep watching the SLBC.